Welcome back, Fan-Fueled family! Today, we're going to look at one of my favorite creatures from Tatooine, the legendary Krayt dragon. Before we get started, we're so close to 500 subscribers, and I'd love to hit that mark before the end of the year, so please, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Tatooine is really a pretty inhospitable place. It's ruled by the Hutt cartel, so many people live in squalor. It's outside of the Republic, so there's no regulation against slavery. There's the danger of sand people raids at any given moment, and there's so little water that people have to actually use special tools to harvest moisture from the air. It's a ball of rock and sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Of all the many dangers on Tatooine, however, few are as feared as the Krayt dragon. Krayt dragons are massive reptiles, like really massive. On average, an adult is about 45 meters, almost 150 feet, from the tip of its nose to the base of its tail and weighs in at 2,000 kilograms or around 2¼ tons. They live for around a century if left undisturbed and do not weaken due to age. They are fierce hunters, and as such, they became an important fixture in many cultures on Tatooine. So much so that a lightsaber form 5 Xian and Gem So, which I did a video on very early in the life of this channel, click the card on screen now, was named the Way of the Krayt Dragon in reference to its aggressive ferocity. Some xenobiologists have posited that Krayt dragons descended from Duinog star dragons from the planet Damn, what is it with Star Wars and weird names like this? Civi 11 has a stupid Star Wars names count. I think we need something similar. Where was I now? Oh, right. There's no real evidence to support Krayt dragons being related to star dragons. I'd call Krayt dragons apex predators except for one other creature on Tatooine, the Sand Demon. Despite being much smaller than Krayt dragons, they often preyed on dragons by pouncing on them and burrowing through their hides with their claws, devouring the dragon from the inside out.
I hate to say it, but
Not to be contradictory, but it's very metal.
Krayt dragons have sharp fangs, but they instead rely on ingesting stones to grind food in their multiple gizzards. These stones, over time, are ground by the stomach muscles into smooth, spherical stones called Krayt dragon pearls, which can actually be cut down and used in a Jedi's lightsaber as a focusing crystal. Many Krayt dragons instinctively make their way to a valley on Tatooine called the Krayt Graveyard when their life is coming to an end. This valley is filled with bones and pearls of dead dragons. While this is enticing, as the pearls are incredibly valuable, the few adventurers that try to cash in this way never return. Krayt dragons, like many non-sentient creatures, are often drawn to sources of power in the Force, especially dark side artifacts, which we'll discuss in a little bit. There are a few different subspecies of the Krayt dragon. The first is the Canyon Krayt dragon. Canyon Krayt dragons are the smallest subspecies at only roughly 30 meters from nose tip to the base of the tail. Fitting their names, they resided in rocky caves and canyons on Tatooine. They were still predators, and they hunted womp rats, eopes, and banthas, but they were small enough that a single skilled Tusken Raider could hunt one down. There was a red variant of the Canyon Krayt dragon subspecies that looked quite different, with 3 horns instead of the usual 5 of normal Canyon Krayt dragons, and, of course, red skin. Both kinds of Canyon Krayt dragons produced crimson pearls, which could often sell for over 1 million credits each. For reference, an Imperial Star Destroyer costs roughly 150 million credits. Greater Krayt dragons are far more rare, but also immensely larger than the common variety at around 100 meters, roughly 330 feet, from the nose to the base of the tail. Unlike smaller Krayt dragons, they had 10 legs to support their massive weight. Despite their immense size, they were far rarer to encounter simply because they spent the majority of their lives under the sands. Their pearls were also considerably larger, befitting their size. They fed on entire herds of banthas, but occasionally were able to devour sarlaccs as a rare treat. Finally, one that may be a bit more widely known is the Leviathan Krayt dragon. Easily the largest variety of Krayt dragon, the Leviathan, befitting its name, was enormous. At a massive 184 meters from nose tip to the base of its tail, over 600 feet long, the Leviathan Krayt dragon has 16 legs to support its weight. Leviathans can spit or vomit a highly corrosive greenish bile at range, referred to as Krayt venom. Like greater Krayt dragons, Leviathans can submerge and swim through the sand like water. They're covered in bony armor, making direct attacks mostly ineffective, and the pearls they produce are truly massive, averaging the size of a basketball. Roughly 4,000 years before the original trilogy, Comad Fortuna, a legendary Twi'lek hunter, learned that a Krayt dragon had made its lair quite near the settlement of Angerhead, so he reluctantly set out to kill the glorious creature. His partner, however, lost his patience and met a grisly fate when he rushed in.
I'm tired of waiting, Comad. How big can this dragon of yours be? I'm going in.
This left Comad without any help until Revan showed up on his quest for the star maps. Revan helped Comad by gathering bantha fodder and luring banthas towards the cave where the dragon laired. Comad had laid mines, which he admitted was not sporting, but his sense of honor in the hunt was not as important as removing the threat of the Krayt dragon. When the great beast lay dead, Comad insisted that Revan take one of the 2 pearls, as his guilt at denying the dragon a fair fight was such that he couldn't bear to take all of the treasure. Like with the progenitor mentioned in the Faraxa video, if you approach the Krayt dragon in its lair, you're not even given a fight, it's just an automatic game over. When Mission Veo wondered why a star map is in the back of a Krayt dragon's lair, Bastila explains quite succinctly.
Hey, it's one of those star maps, ain't it? Kinda weird finding it in the back of a Krayt dragon's lair, don't you think?
The star map is an artifact of the dark side. The Krayt dragon may have been drawn here by its dark power, only to be enslaved by it.
Say, now that we've got the star map, do you think we can leave this planet soon? I've got sand everywhere.
The more well-known appearance of a Krayt dragon is in The Mandalorian, where Din Djarin aided Cobb Vanth in taking down a Leviathan Krayt dragon to protect the local tribe of Tusken Raiders and the settlement of Mos Pelgo. This was able to broker peace between the 2 groups. The Tuskens took the massive pearl and much of the meat, while the bones were taken by the citizens of Mos Pelgo to help rebuild parts of their town damaged in the dragon's raids on their livestock. Asherad Het, a human Jedi that lived among the Sand People during the rise of the Empire, took the name of Darth Krayt when he became a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
While a Krayt dragon skeleton was seen in the very first Star Wars movie back in 1977, they didn't make a proper appearance until 2001's Galactic Battlegrounds. My first real exposure to them was 2 years later in Knights of the Old Republic. As I mentioned earlier, probably the most commonly recognized depiction is the one in The Mandalorian. Hilariously, the giant prop skeleton used in A New Hope was left behind in the Tunisian desert where the filming for Tatooine was done. 25 years later, when the crew returned to film for Attack of the Clones, the skeleton was still there. I like the Krayt dragon. It's a cool creature that fits with Tatooine's hostile desert aesthetic. I've always been fond of giant creatures like this. Just a quick shout out to my first ever subscriber, Just Spencer36, who I know loves reptiles. Hope you enjoyed this one. So what do you think of Krayt dragons? What do you want me to cover next? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. This was a fun video to get together. I really like being able to get footage from Knights of the Old Republic using my free camera program so I can provide you with the best content available. If you liked what you just watched, don't worry, there's more on the way. There are videos on Tuesdays and Fridays and shorts on Saturdays and Sundays. If you want to support me and what I do here on the channel, the best and easiest way you can do that right now is by clicking that like button, leaving a comment, and hitting the subscribe button. If you want to see a video on Star Wars sharks that terrified me as a kid, click here. Or click here for a video on another Star Wars reptile, the Ysalamir. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.